right here on the Craig Carton Show. LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry. The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? Nobody. So the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback.
And it's okay to say that, and the apology, I think, should be accepted. And in this case, I'm accepting it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
NBA shot making, versatility, and the best coach in the league in John Shire. They can beat you in multiple ways. Half court, full court, run and gun, walk it up. And they out-execute.
GameTime Decisions is live on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh with you live from the Decisions desk here on this Friday night as we get set for the second college football playoff semifinal. We are less than 24 hours removed from an all-time game between Ole Miss and Miami. The Canes clinched their spot in the national championship game, which will be played essentially on their home field, a potential leg up for Miami as they wait the winner of this Big Ten showdown. Not alone, though, folks. Once again, back in studio with us here, the man himself, Joe Lisi, to help us get set for another great night of college football.
Bringing a little zeal to the desk, a little zeal with the college football playoffs.
Yes, sir.
What a game last night. Unbelievable. Now, didn't really go the way we thought with Ole Miss potentially winning it. In a position to potentially steal it at the end. But a dominant victory. Really credit Miami for a defensive effort for the first half that they played, rushing the football. But I just want to say, I think the real winner of last night was Trinidad Chambliss. Not granted the 6-year of eligibility today. I'm telling you this right now. He is the best quarterback in college football. If he comes out and he goes to the draft and he doesn't put in an appeal, I think he's better than Fernando Mendoza, certainly better than Dante Moore. I think he showcased that last night, and he's mobile. He makes all the right throws, and I understand he went to Ferris State. But if you want to build a program, this kid, I think, gives the best opportunity.
So here's what I will say. I don't think he's the best quarterback because I am super high on Fernando Mendoza. I've, throughout this year, had a close eye on Ole Miss. I know you have as well. And I've kind of wondered when the draft buzz would start for Trinidad. And last night really was that perfect culmination where you look around and you go, hold on a minute. Very few quarterbacks are even leaving college. He now has no choice. And it's Kyler Murray-esque. And he does feel a little Kyler. And I'm not just talking about a style of play, though, that's comparable. You'll know this well. Kyler Murray entered his final season at Oklahoma with an eye towards baseball. Nobody actually thought Kyler was going to go into the NFL. He was so good. He wins the Heisman Trophy. It was like, dude, what are you doing? You have to go to the NFL. You're going to be the first pick. And he was. I think Trinidad is in actually a very similar situation, Joe, where I think it's very live for him to be a first-round draft pick in April. Again, for me, not the best quarterback. I'm very high on Fernando Mendoza. Not an indictment on Trinidad. But I agree. I think there's an opportunity for him. What's interesting is, just since this is the direction we're starting here, you do have to wonder if Carson Beck's given himself an opportunity to get drafted maybe in the first 3 rounds. Carson Beck entering last season was the favorite to be the first overall pick.
He was.
So we know, Joe, going on runs in tournaments like this, right? It happens in March Madness as well, but it happens in college football. Carson Beck, especially if this team finishes the race and wins a national championship, is going to get him put into some conversations.
I think he's a mid-rounder. I think he's 4th to 5th. Now, I will say the difference between both quarterbacks, and I'm not taking away from Fernando Mendoza. The one thing I think Fernando has shown is leadership, the ability to elevate his team, the ability from a mental resolve to overcome mistakes, throws a critical interception in 3 key games, steps up with touchdowns right after that. So I think that translates to the NFL. But what I see out of Trinidad Chambliss is the ability to stretch defenses vertically, the touch, the RPO game that when he breaks contain, he looks like Jaden Daniels or similar to that type of style. Now, Carson Beck, the difference is, yes, has the big deep ball to Marion wide open. If he misses that, he shouldn't even be playing college football, right? Every throw, for the most part, is sideline to sideline. You know, he struggles at times with deep passes. You saw that early on, the flat throws to Marion in the 4th quarter before he put his team in a position. He throws the short to intermediate throws very well, but there are times that he struggles. What I see in Chambliss is he creates from the pocket, and then he locates the receiver, and every throw that he makes, they have a few dink and dunks there. Every throw is challenging and stressing the defense at every level, and that's what I think makes him a top 5 pick. And if I was a GM and we're talking to all 3 quarterbacks, more Mendoza and Chambliss, I'm taking Chambliss.
The element for Chambliss that you have to like is his willingness to stay in the pocket and deliver. He's not always just looking to escape and run, but we know he has that mobility. But here's the thing. And again, I think you're right. He's better off not getting the 6th year, but yesterday was a bad day for Trinidad and Ole Miss as they lost, and they had an opportunity. Defensively, they were awful in this game. They were fortunate probably to only give up 31 points. They were able to force Miami to settle for a field goal a few times. Miami missed the field goal in this game. And the one element I will say is somebody who bet Ole Miss, I was right that the way Miami was going to play was going to keep Ole Miss around. They had 4 13-plus play drives. But again, it's taking ages. They're not all resulting in touchdowns. So it kept Ole Miss around, but that defense couldn't get a stop. And that was a drive that Miami, the touchdown drive that ended with Beck going in for the score, Miami would have been very happy kicking a field goal. Going to overtime, take your chances. Miami didn't. It feels as if Ole Miss deserved to cover last night because it was such a close game. But it wasn't a bad beat. Miami was the better of the 2 teams, I thought, in the game, Joe. Ole Miss didn't have it defensively. They had to be awesome offensively. And in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kawan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the game on the line and in certain circumstances, to have Lane Kiffin, obviously, he's warranted on the sidelines, right? There is, I'd say, a +2, +3 with Lane Kiffin on the sidelines. There is only so much an interim staff can do without, the master. And when you have the head coach not maybe taking both sides, right? He's looking at things objectively. He can add something or maybe, provide insight or a different type of game plan that maybe Charlie and Golding weren't looking at that particular time. So you coulda, woulda, shoulda. But I do feel that was the way Miami could win with the sustained drives because, again, they did a great job of keeping They got the 3 and out, and they kept Trinidad Chambliss on the sidelines. At one point through basically almost 2 quarters, they had like 9 plays. They weren't going to wear down, the defensive front that way. They were running the football. I mean, Jamari Brown and Fletcher, hard running, the physicality of the offensive line. The biggest thing, I think, when we look at it was the skill players for Ole Miss, once they did get going, they started to exploit that Miami defense. And I think, put it this way, I think that if Ole Miss got going a little bit earlier in the game, I think the result would have been different, but that's a credit to Miami for dictating the tempo. It was Ole Miss's job to jump up early and put that pressure on Carson Beck and that team, and they didn't do it.
What's interesting is, and it's an eye of the beholder, a conversation last night that you and I kind of stumbled into, we weren't planning on having, was whether or not a team should defer or take the ball.
Right.
Ole Miss took the ball.
But they were flat.
So what's interesting, if Ole Miss was on it, it would have really set the tone.
Right.
But it ended up being, they went 3 and out. It was a huge mistake. They didn't punt in the second half. I'm not saying they lost the game because they received instead of deferred. They made a decision that aligned with what you believe was the value of taking that football, but it totally blew up in their face.
It does. And if you're going to take the football, those play calls have to be in a line with what you want to do early on, and they just failed to do it.
100%. We will talk a little bit more about this one, but how about Oregon and Indiana? A chance to meet Miami in the College Football Playoff National Championship is on the line next.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Game time decisions on SportsGrid. We will have, I think, a little bit more time to dissect Ole Miss and Miami, especially the Miami side. We'll think about the potential for the championship game. Will it be Indiana or Oregon, and how those teams potentially match up? But let's try and figure out who we think is going to advance to that game. So if you look right now, Joe, there has been line movement actually throughout the day here on this Big Ten rematch, which we did see in the regular season. The hooks are mostly gone. 3.5 were primarily your number. There was one book today I saw earlier pop up to 4. you're seeing -3 just about everywhere, and the total is on the move up. 48.5s are all gone. There's even a 50.5 out there right now. So tell me this, which is more eye-catching to you? The 3.5s down to 3, or these totals on the way up now?
The totals on the way up, because I think the way both teams want to play this game potentially is not maybe in a phone booth, but a little more reserved, methodical, similar to the Miami mindset. We're going to run the football. And I understand that Oregon's explosive, but going up against Indiana and knowing how Indiana plays, I think that's the way they want to play this matchup. I do. Short to intermediate throws with Dante Moore, similar to the way they played against Texas Tech. When you have a very solid front seven, it's more of a feeling out process. They didn't take a lot of deep shots. They took what the defense gave them, and then that was time of possession. They played for field goals when they were there, and then obviously took their chances, once they had a comfortable lead for the most part. Now, that doesn't mean that this game can't get to they had 50 points last time, 30-20. It's just that I think for this game where they rely so much on the rushing attack, and even though they're balanced 200 and 200 throwing and rushing, that that it all starts with the run with both teams.
Yeah.
And that's the difference where with Ole Miss last night, everything was predicated around the tempo of Trinidad and his ability to get the football out and them to sustain first downs, and then, hey, let's go, right? That's not the case with this offense. Both quarterbacks will have success as the rushing attacks have success tonight. And might be tough treading early on, but it might open up as this game plays on in the third and fourth quarters.
So the element of this game that I feel strongest about is that Oregon will really want to see if they can get the ground game going. It's a question if it's going to work. But a lot of people were furious at how much Oregon was running the football against Texas Tech because Dante Moore was throwing it really well, and it's very hard to run on Texas Tech, who I think grades out as the best rush defense in college football. No team had a better yards per attempt allowed than Texas Tech. That's, again, certainly elevated because they're the best sack defense in the country, so and we know how that kind of can compound on itself, but the point still stands. But for Oregon, despite those facts, they were still just running the football. Indiana looks like, again, it's all on the margins. These are great football teams, more vulnerable to the pass than the run. However, Oregon in that game's running backs, Joe, very successful. Jordan Davidson, 7.4 per carry. Noah Whittington, 5.4. Jaden Lamar, 5.7. Yet, not a ton of carries for any one of those running backs there. 16 for the 3. No Davidson tonight, but even Dairy Hill, who was probably the lone man who didn't get going a lot, I think with Davidson absent, they're going to look to get him going in this game. I think Oregon is going to look to run the football and hope they have explosives within them. And I don't disagree that Indiana will look to do the same because I think Indiana likes the safe ball control, and eventually Mendoza will make a play. Now, I think Indiana's far more dangerous if you tell me, hey, Mendoza threw it 35 times, that's not how they want to play, but I think they would have a lot of success doing it. Well, they are an elite pass offense because I believe he is a super elite quarterback. But I agree with you. I think both teams will be happy to run, which is why I expect this to be a very close football game.
Yeah, early on, that you might be right. Now, the one, I think, difference between both rushing attacks now with Davison out because he's got the clavicle is that I don't know if Oregon, because of Hill and knowing how big Whittington is, if they're going to really want to run between the tackles on Indiana. I think it's more on the edge. And that utilizes maybe a little bit of tempo, whereas Indiana is going to rear their head just the way they did against Alabama. And they're going to throw Kalen Black and they're going to throw Roman Hemby between the A and B gap, and they're going to say, okay, guess what? Try and stop us. And if you can't, we're going to run it down your throat until you can.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the difference. Who is going to dictate the tempo from running the football. I think Oregon does want to utilize a little bit of tempo because obviously when they get going on the edge, then they utilize fly sweeps. They utilize can be more mobile outside the pocket. That opens up Sadiq and all of the secondary options. Gary Bryant will be, I believe, a factor tonight as well in the passing game. So I am curious, and I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to play the total.
Okay.
I was on the total last night, but I'm not playing the total pre-kick. I want to see how the first couple of drives go, and if this game gets anywhere near 40, I'm going to dive in. Now, you got great value last night in game. I mean, as soon as first drive that Ole Miss knocked down, you were already looking at 51.5. I mean, after Miami took that drive and kicks a field goal, you were looking in the 40s.
Yeah. So one update. This is from Pete Thamel of ESPN. Right. We mentioned Jordan Davidson not out. He scored multiple rushing touchdowns against Texas Tech. Noah Whittington is injured as well.
Yeah.
Thamel reports that he is warming up, but he's not expected to start. They're not sure how much he's going to play. So let's get very specific here. FanDuel offers over-unders on college football player props. DraftKings does not. They basically offer you overs only. You can alt them, but they're overs only. So they're still posting Whittington props. Those are just completely useless. To me, it doesn't matter if you think you have some big advantage. You're just getting – his number is 60-plus at minus 103, and we don't know how much he's going to play. This has forced the D'Air Hill numbers up quite a bit. Now, I played Hill last night at 40. I know that does not help everybody here. I thought Hill was going to factor in when Whittington was, I thought, healthy because of no Davidson. I think this now, and you'll probably like this, Jaden Lamar now becomes very interesting because this team just wants to use as many running backs as possible. So expect to see that in this game. We'll talk more Oregon, Indiana next on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Game time decisions on SportsGrid, breaking down Oregon and Indiana. Let's put some best bets on the board here, figure out the different ways that we want to bet this football game tonight. Let's bring everybody in here. I'll start with mine because I know this is not the sexiest pick of all time, but this is the truest way I feel about this football game. I think this is going to be very close. I think Oregon is completely incapable of blowing out Indiana. I do think the Hoosiers have that within them, but I just don't think that's how this game will be played tonight. I think both teams will look to be efficient. I think they will have their ground attacks going, maybe not to unbelievable success, but I think they're going to still be running the football quite a bit. So it's a alt spread parlay of both teams plus 7.5, because that kind of works against each other and keeps this in range. That's at plus 106. You can the win margins are, teams between 1 and 6. I want the full touchdown here. I'm getting Oregon and Indiana each plus 7.5 at plus 106. Chris, little similar, taking each team to score 20, minus 109. Not a bad look at all in this football game. Something I feel Joe will like. Yarnell actually keeps it to the college football tonight with Kalen Black for a long rush over the 14.5. Black and Hemby, of course, the two top backs here for this IU team, both really expected to be featured in this matchup. And AJ's going to lay the 3, that new best of the number, on IU at minus 110. Lisi, what's your best bet here tonight?
I like Oregon money line. I think they win it in a rematch. It's not to take away from Indiana. I just like landing in this spot. I just think if there's one team that's not going to be obviously afraid of Indiana, it will be Oregon, thinking that they messed up. That game was tied at halftime in Eugene, and they just allowed turnovers to get them in the end in their house. I think they'll be motivated. I just like landing in this spot, not to take away from Cignetti, but I like the speed of Oregon offensively and defensively. They showed me something last week. Give me them outright tonight.
So one of the reasons that I can't trust Oregon, and this is one of the interesting elements of this game, Joe, is the quarterback head-to-head.
Yeah.
Again, it's a combination of the two.
You used to like Dante Moore.
So here's the full thing, okay? I was really between two teams for a national championship future along with Ole Miss, and it was Clemson and Oregon. Now, obviously, I picked wrong, obviously. But throughout the year, I realized one of the reasons I did not go with Oregon is, despite being a Dante Moore guy, I did not fully trust him in big environments. And I know everybody loved the game that he had against Penn State, and understandably. But then he gave it right away against Indiana. And he was not very good in the game against Iowa. And so far in this college football playoff, it's 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Multiple picks against JMU. Didn't throw a touchdown pass against Texas Tech and was picked off in that football game, Joe. I am not a bit, again, when we're talking in this game, when we are talking NFL prospects-wise, I think there is a gulf between these quarterbacks in Mendoza and Moore.
Yeah, I mean, if you watched him with Chip Kelly at UCLA, he struggled, Dante Moore.
Yeah.
You know, he transferred to Oregon because, again, he felt he wasn't getting the proper mentorship and tutelage out of Chip Kelly and that staff. And you and I watched him multiple times. Critical interceptions, deer in the headlights. That was his freshman year. He sat behind Dylan Gabriel last year. He's elevated his game to where he's much better than where he was his first season at UCLA. But I don't think Dante Moore is an all-world quarterback. I just think he's above average, and I like the team around him. But I do believe in Dan Lanning, and I do believe in his defensive game plan. Again, I know that Cignetti's going to want to try and push around Oregon. I think that's going to be the MO tonight. And I just think the Ducks will be up to the task. I really do.
But
we'll see. We'll see.
I'll just say, to me, I think that this Indiana team should be willing to let Mendoza win this game. I think he is the best quarterback in the country. This is the best I have felt about a quarterback prospect in a number of years, maybe since Trevor Lawrence. That game against Alabama, again, you throw more touchdown passes than incompletions against, I don't care who any Alabama team. That is wildly impressive. He is mobile. You can tell how smart he is, how confident he is. These guys believe in him. That wide receiver room is deep. I think Serrato, round 1 level talent. I think Cooper and Becker have both come on brilliantly. We know this is a rock-solid offensive line. 9 points, here I go again, yards per attempt. 9.6 yards per attempt is the best in the country. To me, Joe, I have the utmost confidence in Mendoza. Ironically, everybody loves Cignetti. I just don't know if he'll give the ball to Mendoza enough, which is why The double 7.5s is how I'm playing this one. Super Bowl futures. We'll be right back on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Game time decisions on SportsGrid tonight. The college football playoff. Tomorrow begins the NFL playoffs. And I thought it would be appropriate here to go through the bracket and talk about who we think is going to win and be there in the end. So I have laid out my full NFL bracket. We've got Joe Lisi here with us in studio. Tomorrow, Joe will be with Donnie hosting the opening playoff edition of Pro Football Today. So I thought that we would go through the bracket together. You can let me know what you like and what you don't like from me.
Sure, I could tell you I'm probably not going to like it.
I think some of it you will.
Okay, it's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible.
So
tomorrow should be interesting, you know? Get to work with right side for the NFL, huh?
Should be super exciting. I figure what we'll do, quick little run through of the opening round here. Of course,
Let
this
me
is
see it.
Where the bracket starts to unfold on Saturday. I do think the Rams handle business against the Carolina Panthers. I think for Carolina to have to beat the Rams twice is very difficult. I think they'd be better off playing Seattle or San Francisco, not because the Rams are wildly better than those teams. It's because Carolina's already beaten the Rams, and I don't think when you're not anywhere near as good as a team, it's very difficult to beat them twice. Green Bay is favored in Chicago. I think rightfully so. I think the Packers are the better team, better defense. I trust the quarterback more right now and Jordan Love to have a big game than Caleb Williams. I think the Bears sitting around on their hands waiting for a close matchup to then be won at the end is just a very, very bad recipe. The Philadelphia Eagles are almost double the number they opened against the San Francisco 49ers, and rightfully so. This is a mall spot for Philly. We'll see if their coaching staff can put them in the right place to do just that. But the Philadelphia Eagles are the healthier team, the more rested team, and at home, I expect them to get the job done. Jacksonville hosts Buffalo. Man, there is Jacksonville love in the market more than I anticipated, but I am a part of it. I think the Jaguars are a bad matchup for Buffalo. A defense that is capable of forcing turnovers and an offense that has just been electric for 2 months now, I think could put the Bills in some bad spots. The Pats, I think, smash the Chargers. I think they are way better than L.A. Justin Herbert's an awful playoff quarterback here. I think Mike Vrabel will have his guys ready to go. I think this Pats offense is humming. I know the schedule's been easy. I don't think the Chargers change much about that. And I'm going to go with Houston to pull off not an upset, but it would be a blemish to Mike Tomlin's perfect home Monday night record. I think that defense wrecks that game against Aaron Rodgers. I think Nico Collins could be fantastic. So let me start there, Joe. From the opening round, okay, to put it all into a nice little bubble, Pats, Texans, Jags, Eagles, Packers, Rams. Which one do you disagree with the most?
The most. Chargers.
You like the Chargers?
I do.
Wow.
I'm going to roll. I think, look, I understand that Justin Herbert hasn't won a playoff game and didn't step up, and no Amari and Hampton. I get that. But I do believe in Harbaugh in this spot. There's a very young team with New England. Mm-hmm. And Drake May, even though he's at home playing his first playoff game, they're going to need to really step up and I think put up points. And as good as Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson were down the stretch, different animal in the playoffs. They're going to need to kick it up even another step, and I think that's where potentially they get exposed. I do feel that Herbert can locate those wide receivers enough. Mm-hmm. McConkey, Keenan Allen, Disley, Quentin Johnston. I think they could get. I like their skill talent outside of Hampton much more than I like New England. And I understand it's a tough road environment, but it's on turf. Even if it's a little bad weather, I don't care. I believe this is a perfect opportunity for Herbert to get his first win. That would be the first one. The second one, I'm going to shock you, because when I saw the line come out, I immediately thought the Pack, just because.
Yeah.
The Pack and being rested, I get that. But I don't know if I have confidence in Jordan Love in this team like I did at the early part of the year. I honestly believe that Chicago, even though they lost to Detroit, in this type of spot, is more equipped, and I believe in Caleb a little bit more than I did at the start of the year. Streetball Williams, I think, could take this game over on the ground. And again, I know that they were beaten up by Green Bay for the most part, and they stole it in overtime the last time they played here. But I have no confidence in the continuity and the actual offensive philosophy about what LaFleur wants to do.
Yeah.
I think it's a Josh Jacobs game. And that's going to be his bread and butter in this. And I think they get exposed because I do feel with a bad track, Chicago's able to move the football.
You have, and I have always, it's funny.
We flipped.
No, well, yes, but most people, when they hear, I think it's a Josh Jacobs thing, are like, oh, this guy loves Green Bay. But the one thing we've agreed on is that's a negative. That's derogatory.
Yeah, it's like I don't mind giving Josh Jacobs 17 to 20 carries.
So
it's when you feed him for 2 straight drives and get nowhere. Or that's it.
With that said, because we're actually going to talk a little more Green Bay Packers. Our guy Jimmy's going to join us. We're going to break down Green Bay's path here. So we may not get through all of this. We'll do the Super Bowl matchups, I promise. One thing I will tell people is, though, just kind of getting into that next round, I think Green Bay, through Jordan Love, gets on a run.
Okay.
I think if they beat the Chicago Bears, they beat the Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle has shown clear as day that they actually do not trust Sam Darnold, and they believe as long as he doesn't turn it over, they can win. I think that scared conservative play calling will do them in. I think when Darnold gets put in a position to throw, he will cough it up, as he always does. And I think that Jordan Love has the ability to get running here. I think the Packers actually, as a 7 seed, are live to come out of the NFC this season. That would put the Eagles against the Rams. I think the game being in Philly is the biggest difference. Sirianni and Hurts have not lost in Philly. You put McVay and the Rams outside, I don't think it's as clean. And I also think that Rams defense has been exposed as the season has come on. That is not an A++ elite group. In that matchup, everybody will sing songs about how much better the Rams offense is, and that's fine. The Eagles defense is as much, if not more, the advantage head-to-head on that Rams defense. I truly do believe. The way my semifinals in the AFC lineup. It's the Broncos hosting the Texans, and it is the Patriots hosting the Jaguars, and it is a spot where I like both home teams. As much as I think the Jags match up well with Buffalo, I worry about them in New England. I worry about Trevor Lawrence on the road. I think Trevor has taken strides this year. I still think those bad turnovers are within him, and I think Drake May will do well to protect that football against the Jags. The Broncos going on a run is something that I absolutely believe in. And I think that a very simple fact informs me. Denver, at minimum, will play in the AFC Championship game. Well, of course, they will be the home team. Sean Payton, since coming to Denver, Joe, has not lost off a bye or mini bye. So whether it's the Texans, the Steelers, the Broncos, the Bills, the Chargers, I believe that Sean Payton will have this team ready to win that game however the script needs to look.
Yeah, I mean, think about last year, right? They had one game under their belt with the loss to Buffalo with Bo Nix. I mean, that was a huge game, I think, for the learning curve for Bo Nix and where they are right now. I do believe that Denver is potentially one of the best teams in the AFC. I think they can be knocked off by the right team in a right type of matchup. But again, it's going to be very difficult. When you have a defense that can play man-to-man coverage the way they can get a pass rush with Benito in that front seven, very difficult. And they're very difficult to run the football on consistently. And that's what road teams typically have to do in a playoff type of environment. Win the turnover battle and win the rushing attack. Easier said than done, though.
Yeah, what we are going to do is pause right there. For me, the conference championship games will be the Denver Broncos against the New England Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles against the Green Bay Packers. So let's talk more about Green Bay with Jimmy Christensen, who does an excellent job covering this Packers team. And if he thinks they can go on a run, next.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Game time decisions, getting you ready for one of, if not the biggest game of Wild Card Weekend, with some help from Jimmy Christensen. Does an excellent job covering this Green Bay team. Packer Report, Pack-A-Day podcast. And Jimmy, can I start with this? Just because I know this isn't like a betting thing or anything, but in town, are people annoyed this is an Amazon Prime game?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've already gotten maybe 2 calls from my grandpa complaining about having to get Amazon Prime. So
Yeah.
it's definitely
Rightfully so. Rightfully so. I have like a family function going on, and it's like out somewhere. I'm like, we're going to have to watch this on the phone? They're like, they're going to get it on the TV. I'm like, I'll give them the Prime account if we have to. I don't know. Someone's going to have to figure this thing out. So for Green Bay, what is so interesting, Jimmy, is they've kind of been dormant now for 2.5 weeks, right? Since Jordan Love got injured in that game against the Chicago Bears, you almost throw your hands up at it, right? Hey, look, Malik Willis is out there. He's playing well. We're going to be what we're going to be, the 7 seed. I think that's dangerous. I think, man, we know Jordan Love has high highs and low lows. I mean, it's just now him taking 2 weeks to prepare for one moment. I think the time off can be good for Green Bay. How do you see it?
Yeah, with the team as injured as they are right now, the time off was really good for them, I think. Like, you look at Josh Jacobs, he even said he feels the best he's felt in 6 weeks after hurting his knee against the Giants. We still won't have Dontavian Wicks, which is a bummer, but you have other players like Zach Tom. He hasn't been in since the Broncos game. He's been out with an knee injury. He's able to get healthy, hopefully be able to play this game. Evan Williams he split time with Javon Bullard in that Vikings game, but he's still got a half game's rest. But the team right now, with so many injuries, having a week where they can kind of minimize any risk. We still had Bo Melton go on IR, or the Packers had him go on IR, but you gotta love the rest after a team's been battled, as every NFL team is. It's not an excuse for the Packers. Every NFL team's injured, but after some of the things they've suffered, it's nice to have a week to rest and go in really with low expectations from a lot of people, I think, outside of the fan base. The fans still crazy, still want to beat the rival Bears, but a lot of other people are counting them out.
So when you take a look at, who Green Bay enters, into this postseason with, stylistically, what will they need to put forward to not just win this game, but perhaps go on a real run here in the NFC playoffs?
Yeah, it's honestly twofold for me. The first one, it all comes down to your $55 million man in Jordan Love. He's coming back off that concussion. The run game, even now, Josh Jacobs, like we said, is feeling better. The run game hasn't been what it was before. It's going to come down to Jordan Love. Christian Watson now is healthy, playing the best football of his career, weirdly coming off an ACL tear, somehow made him better. And they're really going to have to be a dynamic duo in this, because Josh Jacobs will get his here and there, but you cannot rely on the run game right now. And the opposite side, jumping to the defense, is one player in particular is the missing Rashawn Gary is going to have to show why he's paid $24 million, because with Michael Parsons going out, there is not a pass rush. You need someone to step up, and you paid him to be that person before you traded for Michael Parsons. And this is the time to kind of put up or shut up, or he honestly might find his way out of Green Bay. It's kind of make or break for him to stick with the team. So to win the game and for his career in Green Bay, it has to be a really powerful playoff series.
So I think what's interesting for Green Bay is there's different iterations of different teams you hearken back to. When people think about Baltimore Ravens teams that went on a Super Bowl, they think about, Trent Dilfer, right? Let the defense do everything. I wonder if Jordan Love can go on the Joe Flacco run, where Joe Flacco was never as good as he was in that one playoff run. And I'm not trying to degrade Jordan Love, but I just wonder if Jordan Love, who, again, I think we can all agree, right? Streaky quarterback, can the streak be in the postseason? Because he really did have himself overall a very good season. Statistically, the numbers are all there. The EPA, the PFF grade, it's all right there. That's, to me, what I think is the most tempting thing about a Packer team, that I expect Jimmy to play in the NFC Championship game. I expect them to beat Chicago. I think they have what it takes to beat Seattle. But I think that comes down to Jordan Love. We talked about this last time. Those Kobe off the back foot shots. Just do whatever you want. Just let it fly, man. Watson's down there somewhere. Maybe Golden can catch a football.
I'm with you. Honestly, it's let Jordan Love ball. Get some Kobe fadeaways in there. We saw that when they did in the Lions game. He came up really clutch in that, and in the game against the Bears, especially with this defense, the Bears defense give up big plays. They do, and they don't have CJ Gardner-Johnson, but they do have Kyler Gordon coming back, which would be a benefit for them. But with Jordan Love right now, like, this passing attack can be a really powerful weapon. Your offensive line has kind of been figured out now with Belton going to guard, Zach Tom's getting healthy, Sean Ryan surprisingly was an upgrade really for center when Elton Jenkins went down. There's no excuse for Jordan Love to not go on a streak. And in his first playoff game ever, he dominated the Cowboys. And the two games he struggled were a 49ers defense, who at the time had Mozart as Morris as a defensive coordinator, and then the Eagles, both teams that he lost to and threw interceptions went to the Super Bowl. So against low caliber defenses like we're playing against the Bears right now, Jordan Love does well. Not saying he can't against the top defenses, but he has a proven track record of take advantage of situations, and prime chance on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this football team and see if they can go. I'll ask you this quickly, Jimmy, and I know it probably deserves more time, but I also think it may not amount to anything. Is LaFleur coaching for his job on Saturday night?
That is a very good question.
That's
I would say right
than
now,
I thought it would be.
I would like to say no, but John Harbaugh, we've seen him just get fired, having a disappointing season and then a game against the Steelers. I think if this turns out to be an embarrassing game and we don't show any improvements after giving up 300 rushing yards to the Ravens, and we go out and embarrass ourselves against the Bears, very well they could try to move on and try to retain Jeff Hafley or see what they can do elsewhere. I don't say it's likely, but it's possible.
That's interesting. I guess maybe the whole, Matty 7 seeds, maybe they feel like he's kind of, sneaking in here, and it's not as impressive. Jimmy Christensen, incredible as always. Great job covering the Packers. We finish out this NFL playoff bracket after the break.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
All right, game time decisions here, folks. Let's put this on the board, all right? Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi, top of the hour. We will get back to the break, to the best bets here for Indiana and Oregon. But what I want to do right now is finish out this playoff bracket. How I see it going here, I believe the conference championship games will be played in Philadelphia and Denver. I believe that the Eagles will play the Packers, and I believe the Eagles will beat the Green Bay Packers. I do not trust Jordan Love to not turn the football over against this Philly defense, and I think that is the difference in a lot of these Eagles games is in the playoffs, they're at home, they don't turn it over. And I think that the Denver Broncos at home against the New England Patriots, which is how I see this going, I think Denver has more of an ability to play to however their opponent demands than people think. We have seen Bo Nix have some big games. We know that defense is ferocious, and they do it at all three levels. The defensive line is fantastic. Pat Surtain captains one of the best secondaries in football. I believe that the Super Bowl will be played between the Eagles and the Broncos, and I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going back-to-back. Despite the fact that I think the head coach is on the hot seat entering into this first game, despite the fact that I would fire the offensive coordinator even if Philly wins the Super Bowl, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are the best set-up team to go on this run. If you look at last year's divisional round, of those 8 teams, only 4 made it back to the playoffs. And of those 4, only 1 won their division. And it's the Super Bowl champion. The Philadelphia Eagles being here is not being given enough respect because people are upset and focused on how the offense looks. And I understand that. I'm not saying it's not a story. But it covers up for the fact that they right now, once again, look like they may just have the best defense in the National Football League, just as they did last season. And I think that Philly uses that, plus the fact that they have one of the 3 best big game quarterbacks in this sport, and Jalen Hurts captaining the show. Joe, I think the Super Bowl, Eagles, Broncos, and I think the Eagles do it again.
Yeah, I like the Eagles. I told you, they're my team until they get knocked off the block. I will say out of the AFC, the one or 2 teams that I think can make a run, I don't believe that Denver is going to be the team. You're gonna laugh at me. I like Jacksonville, but if Jacksonville gets clipped, I think the second other team that can go on a little bit of run is Pittsburgh.
Oh, come on.
I do.
Come on.
I like Pittsburgh Monday. I do not like Houston, and I told you, I love Houston's defense.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the offensive philosophy of that team. I believe their coach will handcuff them to an early exit in the playoffs because of how he lacks the killer instinct of trying to just knock teams out when he has them on the ropes. And time again, he continuously allows teams into games because they lack a killer instinct. He has a franchise quarterback, and he doesn't want to let the kid cook in C.J. Stroud. You have a dominant wide receiver in Nico Collins. They're good for a drive and then never goes back to them.
Yeah.
I cannot back a gutless team like that without a killer mentality in a playoff spot. And hoping that this defense carries you to the promised land is all well and good when they were wearing leather helmets and you can get granite, make metal out of granite back in the day. It's no longer like that, D'Amico. Wake up, It's 2026, okay? You have to throw the football, okay? All these coaches that are stuck in the Stone Age, wake up. But Denver, to me, is look. Denver's built. They got everything that they want. They have home field. I do feel that the most explosive offense, though, entering this playoff is Jacksonville. And if they take care of business tomorrow or Sunday, I think they're going to go on a run and shock some people.
I think Jacksonville is capable of it, but I am locked in on the Denver Broncos. And my favorite NFL Super Bowl future is the Broncos, stage of elimination, runner-up to lose in the Super Bowl. That is plus 550 on the score bet. I believe that you are getting more than double the price of Denver to win the AFC. I talk about the value of this team playing off the bye. Someone said, well, they'll be off a bye in the Super Bowl. Both teams are off the bye. I think it's a little bit evens the playing field. I also think the NFC has been significantly better than the AFC all year long. I think the Super Bowl from the NFC is either going to be the Eagles, the Rams, or the Packers. I think the Eagles or Rams would be the favorite in that football game. And I think Green Bay, Joe, is +2. So if I really don't feel confident about it, I can hedge off of it. I think Seattle would be booked as a favorite over Denver as well. I think it presents great value. I believe Denver makes the Super Bowl, but I don't believe they win it. It's my favorite way to play it. Let's get back to the college football playoff semifinal here on Game Time Decisions. Oregon versus Indiana. We are with you on SportsGrid. Okay, Dubs has to go back to his roots. I'm not a Jets fan, I'm not a Giants fan, and neither one of those teams even play in New York. But I'm a New Yorker through and through, despite where my mail gets sent. And I will not stand for the Jets to be dragged through the mud in this way. Not gonna happen. So Dante Moore, if you do leave, you should be so lucky to fly the plane.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Who are we looking at? We're looking at SGA because of his availability and consistency. It's Jalen Brown to do his usage and his leadership. It's Jaylen Brown for how they're playing. It's Cade Cunningham because Detroit's in the top of the East. The MVP talk is going to be wild, and it'll be interesting to watch. MVPs just don't dominate. They survive the season.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Oregon versus Indiana, the college football playoff semifinal. The winner goes on to face Miami. Joe, let's start with this, as Miami yesterday clinched their spot in that game. Do you believe, with the game being played at Hard Rock Stadium, that's where Miami actually started their season against Notre Dame, do you believe that that is an advantage enough for Miami to impact the point spread?
A little, because of the understanding that they're at home. We talk about creatures of habit.
Yeah.
For the next 2 weeks, it's business as usual. That could be good and that could be bad. I'll just say that. From the point spread perspective, it should affect it more in favor of Miami to a degree. But again, no matter who they play, they're not going to be able to play bully ball and that conservative type of attack, I don't believe, against Oregon or Indiana. No matter, I think if they face Indiana, if Indiana gets through tonight, I already know the look-ahead line was Indiana 5.5. I think they get smashed in that type of style, because Indiana will say, okay. I just think Indiana and Cignetti, and I know Cristobal's done a great job, and that staff has done a great job up until this point, and you could praise them all you want. In that type of setting, if they draw Indiana, it's good luck. I think Indiana is going to be up to the task. I think they win it by double digits. I think they get absolutely smashed in that type of setting.
So the one thing that I'm a little surprised about, yesterday you and I were able to talk about the look-ahead lines.
Yeah.
So Indiana and Miami projects to be 5.5. Oregon, Miami was 2.5. That was like minus 120.
Right.
But
yeah.
It's now 3.5 on the look-ahead line. Minus 124 to bet Miami. There's a part of me that wouldn't be surprised if Miami was like a slight favorite against Oregon, quite frankly. I understand Oregon is going to get a lot of credit if they are able to win this football game tonight against Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
But people have completely fallen in love with Miami and believe because of what they have on both sides of the football, line of scrimmage-wise, Malachi Toney's a star, Mark Fletcher's come on, Beck is
experienced.
I mean, you know, he's 45 years old. Like, I don't know. That line to me at 2.5, I was like, that could tick down. But now that the advanced line's 3.5, that doesn't make much
sense.
No,
it doesn't. I would expect 1.5, so maybe, you know, in that aspect. But now, again, let's see what we get tonight, and then we could reassess. You know, if Oregon comes out and wins it by 17, maybe that would justify the 3.5.
But does anybody see that happening?
No, but I'm just saying.
You like Oregon tonight, though, Joe,
I do.
Right? But
I
my
think,
point is,
if they win it,
slaughter Indiana.
I think I'm expect. If I had to pick the score, and I lean to the under just a little bit, it would be 24-20 Oregon.
That's my. Here's something I feel very confident about.
I'd be shocked if the first 4 possessions were 14 up. Then all of a sudden, you know, we're looking. I would love it and hate it at the same time.
Yeah, because you missed out.
Right.
I would you know, those tweets come out like where the public is, where the ticket cap. I would be stunned if Miami was not the more bet side in a matchup against Oregon.
You would believe the public perception. The U is back. It's a brand name, and
at 3.5. I think Miami will be bet the whole way through.
There's a lot of storylines. You know, it would be Mario going up against his former team.
Right.
It's there. It's on the table. Again, I just think that. Again, I give both of these coaches tonight the advantage over Cristobal, and he's done a great job. He's gotten his team prepared. They've played well, but I still, at times, you know, you play for field goals. It's like, they're scoring touchdowns, but do they really want to score?
He was more aggressive yesterday. It was
in the second half. I think he was a little more aggressive. That shot to Marion, I mean, it was there. I mean, if you missed that.
Well, he missed the 50-yard touchdown to Toney on the opening drive of the game, Carson Beck. He's not flawless. One thing I wonder, though, is was he more aggressive because the opponent was a more vulnerable defense and a more aggressive team themselves?
Not only that, but I think they had a play. Look, when we broke the game down, Ole Miss scored 30 points on everybody. The best defense in the SEC in Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
You couldn't be naive and say, I have to go into this game knowing I have to score at least 24.
Yep.
I'm going to lose if I play close to the vest. So you had to take shots, especially that's why you have Carson Beck there. You don't have kid's 7th year of eligibility. I mean, come on. You utilize the experience and the arm that he brought there to a certain capacity. You wanted to run the football and you had success. But you still have to take deep shots. You still have to loosen them up. You're not going to be able to do that. I can tell you this right now. You're certainly not. Lanning, I believe, is still a better DC than Golding. You might disagree. I know you don't like Dan Lanning that much, but I still think for the talent that he's brought, and he did win a national championship with Kirby a few years ago. I still think Cignetti and Lanning are going to out-game plan right from the get-go, Mario.
So, first of all, my issue with Lanning is how he was entered into conversations as, like, one of the 3 best coaches, and he was jumping guys he couldn't beat. Like, here is something that I know for a fact.
Go ahead.
You ask 100 people better coach, Dan Lanning or Kalen DeBoer, they will tell you Lanning with 0 hesitation. Unless Lanning wins today, Kalen DeBoer remains unquestionably the more accomplished head coach than Dan Lanning.
The more accomplished, yes.
Accomplished, and he beat him both times head-to-head.
Yes, he beat him with both times. Right, when they had
both times Oregon was booked as favorites in the football game. You remember that Pac-12 title game. You liked Washington.
I took Washington both games.
Right, you were on it. But my point is, that was great. The first one was great. But the first game was at home, favorite. The second, that Pac-12 championship game, they were supposed to destroy Washington.
They had no shot, remember?
Yeah. Oregon was supposed to walk into that college football playoff, and Bo Nix was supposed to win the Heisman Trophy.
Right.
And then lost the game, and they didn't make it, and Jaden Daniels ends up winning the Heisman. What an accomplishment by him. Apparently, he was on the Washington defense in that game. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I don't like the Oregon uniforms. I'm going to stay right out. That's ugly, but I'm still backing them. I don't like it. I wish they would have wore yellow pant. They didn't come out with the yellow pant.
I like the duck on the side, though. Helmet's a little all over the place.
Looks like a little high schoolish.
I hear, yeah.
You know, like
helmet's all over the
state
place.
finals, out in Arlington, Texas or something.
I don't like the helmet.
Yeah.
I like the jersey. I don't like that.
I like the jersey. Jersey, no problem. Pant, they should have went with canary yellow.
See, here's this, though. Now they're showing the offensive line, giving, the tough talk. In those uniforms, it doesn't translate for some reason. There's something about the uniform that doesn't allow the, we're ready for war. So maybe you might have pulled me in. It doesn't feel war-tested, that uniform.
Just feels like it's falling on deaf ears with the white on white.
No one's listening to the guy.
Doesn't matter. I don't care. Listen, it's got to look good on the screen. That's the first thing you look at. If I'm the dog in the matchup, I want to look good on the screen.
One thing I wouldn't mind focusing in, Jaden Lamar isn't available for this game. My apologies. He hit the portal. That's an awful job out of me. That's also just college football. De'Aaron Hill might get 14 carries
if FD still has now 38.5, so at least 10 minutes ago on Winnington. I know he's listed as questionable, but I'll
tell you this. I get no read on how much Whittington plays whatsoever.
Well, there he is. He looks all right.
Right. But we know. But here's what I'll say, though, Joe.
Set to play. Likely will not start.
Right. Him not starting, I think, throws it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you would almost think, hey, let's get him a carry, feel the game. Hey, how'd that feel? Kind of thing. So, I think put it like this. And I know sometimes you can't stand stuff like this. First play of the game, hand off to Hill. Picks up 6. The second play of the game, they're going to hand it right back off to Hill. And we'll be 8 plays into the game. Hill's ran it 6 times. Pig, throw it! Sadiq, somebody else, benching! Hey, it's going to be driving you nuts. Quick break. We'll keep breaking it down. It's Indiana. It's Oregon. It's SportsGrid. Dubs has to go back to his roots. I'm not a Jets fan, I'm not a Giants fan, and neither one of those teams even play in New York. But I'm a New Yorker through and through, despite where my mail gets sent. And I will not stand for the Jets to be dragged through the mud in this way. Not going to happen. So Dante Moore, if you do leave, you should be so lucky to fly the plane.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Who are we looking at? We're looking at SGA because of his availability and consistency. It's Jaylen Brunson doing his usage and his leadership. It's Jaylen Brown for how they're playing. It's Cade Cunningham because Detroit's in the top of the East. The MVP talk is going to be wild, and it'll be interesting to watch. MVPs just don't dominate. They survive the season.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Okay, with you here, it is game time decisions. Joe, just take me through some of the props. We'll do best bets and everything in a moment in our final segment here. Just props you're looking at, even if you were considering, wanted to play, didn't. Like the one thing yesterday, you and I did right at the end of the show, and we said the same thing, so we should have just realized and played it. I was like, what's the one bet you didn't place that you kind of like, and it was the Lisi rushing yards, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, when a guy hits a 73-yard, but he wasn't healthy, and he still got to 100, right? 100. What are some of the props you're looking at here for this game?
So I took a parlay, but the props are Gary Bryan for Oregon. I think he has a huge night.
Okay.
50-plus receiving. Omar Cooper is going to be the guy outside of Surratt and Becker on Indiana. I think Omar Cooper, again, is the big play wide receiver and has stepped up in critical moments. I think they get him involved in the offense early and often. For the rushing attack for Indiana, I think it's Black. I do think Black is a little bit more physical than Roman Hemby. So, again, if Indiana's going to have success on the ground, it's going to be Kalen Black. I took him in the game against Alabama, took him up to 80-plus. He blew right through that number with a 100-yard performance. So, again, Cooper hit pay dirt last week against Alabama as well. Red zone opportunities are always there. That's where I'm looking. Touchdowns, I did take a shot with Oregon Sadiq. I didn't like him so much for yards. I did take him at plus 180 or plus 175 for an anytime touchdown.
Fair enough. So I played the Dr. Hill number, but again, I played it kind of just. I liked Hill when I thought Whittington was healthy because Davidson was out, and I was just like, look, they like to use a bunch of backs, so Hill could play in this football game. He's a really explosive player. I know he wasn't against Indiana. I just don't think it helps much. I bet Hill at 40, and it's like 50. Like I know that just doesn't help people a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mendoza to throw 2 is interesting just because of that, but a lot of that is belief in the player. But at minus 130, here's the tough part. Minus 130 is not cheap, though, on an elite quarterbacks. In college football, you know that.
Yeah.
Like the elite quarterbacks in college football, we used to see 2.5s.
Yeah.
Right? Because college, the scoring can go crazy. So there's some interest there. I'm interested in Surratt because I believe when the chips are down, he's the number 1 wide receiver. Case in point, at Oregon, 8 for 121. So there's some interest there. The Oregon Duck I am a little interested in is DeCorian Moore. Moore was this mega 5-star freshman that they thought, especially with the injury to Evan Stewart, would be their number 1 wide receiver. And as he was coming on, the injuries happen. They play in a lot of these fake games too, Oregon, right? Where a team's getting blown out, whatever it might be. But he is another one of these explosive players, right? So right now, this happened, and this worked out for me yesterday, somebody who bet Malachi Toney, right? I'm like, the explosive plays are coming. So far, 4 catches in the CFP for 26 yards.
Yeah.
Can DeCorian Moore tonight, in a 2-catch game, go over 32.5? I think yes. So he's a little interesting to me as well.
Yeah, that's a good look. I took him for an anytime touchdown in a parlay.
Yeah.
I threw a couple guys in. I took Dante Moore. I took Sadiq. I did take Hemby. I have Black for the yards, Hemby for the touchdown. I have a crazy one. I have both quarterbacks to score, and then I have Hemby and Whittington.
Can I ask you this? I don't know if you'll like this because it's not. I know this isn't like up your alley, really, of how you like to bet these things.
Yeah.
But the Oregon running back depth chart.
Yes.
Dr. Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Noah Whittington, injured.
Supposedly.
And then, okay, well, he's clear. Well, Joe, he's not supposed. Come on.
It says questionable. They have totals listed on him.
Hold on a second. Would you agree that, are you comfortable saying we know for a fact he's not 100%?
Yes.
Great. So, Hill, a not 100% running back, and then the 3rd and 4th guys are 2 defensive players.
Okay.
Is it possible that Dr. Hill runs for 125 yards in this game?
It's possible. Yeah.
But couldn't you see him getting 20 carries?
Yes.
You like Oregon, right? So let's say they're trying to run the clock out. Who do you think's getting the football?
Probably Hill, if you're telling me he's that banged up. But again, if Whittington is not starting, and we talk about being able to process information. And the books know the information before any guru or analyst or anything else. They know it's their business. You want to say they're delayed at times, that's fine. Maybe an outlier once or twice. They're not late on every and early. They're posting props on certain Noah Whittington, and they keep pumping out news that he's banged up, he's banged up. That's great, but they're still posting props. Then hit the under. I think Whittington could be the guy that gets 50+ tonight.
I'm not saying, by the way, Whittington is incapable of that. I'm talking. Here's what I do not think it is on the board that Noah Whittington is given 20 carries.
That's fine. I think he can get 10 to 12, possibly.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. And I know that usually sometimes this happens. When I say this will move. To get 100 yards on FanDuel for Hill, plus 320.
Okay, it's a good number.
To get 80 yards on DraftKings, plus 330. To get 100 yards on DraftKings, 7-1.
Wow.
That is an unimaginable gap.
Yeah.
That it's 11-1 for him to get to 110. That same exact bet on FanDuel, 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're getting better odds. Bang Hill.
Better odds. You're basically getting profit boosts. You're basically getting 100% profit.
You
boost.
should do it. Do it.
Yeah, all right.
Don't delay. I'll hold it down.
Go ahead. I won a couple dollars playing slots today, like I'm Donnie Hotside.
Oh boy, he won slots today.
I was playing a couple slots. Here
That's
we go.
it. The kid's in deep, both feet.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, though.
Go ahead.
Do we? I do want to ask, because we always bring this. I have to look on FanDuel or some of the others overtime tonight. What do you think? What do you think the number is?
Great question.
I would say anywhere from 11 to 12 to 1.
Man, I asked you to hold it down.
I'll hold it down. Come on, it's a rematch, 30 to 20. I like Oregon. We were talking about the same game.
100.
I took Dante Moore rushing yards, 25 plus.
What's this pay?
390. How about that?
What?
I did, plus 390.
For what?
25 rush yards.
Oh, great. Perfect.
We'll be right back.
Dante Moore rushing overtime, anytime parlay. OK Dubs has to go back to his roots. I'm not a Jets fan, I'm not a Giants fan, and neither one of those teams even play in New York. But I'm a New Yorker through and through, despite where my mail gets sent. And I will not stand for the Jets to be dragged through the mud in this way. Not gonna happen. So Dante Moore, if you do leave, you should be so lucky to fly the plane.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Who are we looking at? We're looking at SGA because of his availability and consistency. It's Jaylen Brown to do his usage and his leadership. It's Jaylen Brown for how they're playing. It's Cade Cunningham because Detroit's in the top of the East. The MVP talk is going to be wild, and it'll be interesting to watch. MVPs just don't dominate. They survive the season.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi, 100. I took the air, 100. Let me put a little boost on it. We're in the mix, Joe.
Hey, shout out to Two Belt Tim out there who's betting Indiana tonight. You might be right, kid. You might be right. A lot of mushes coming in on Oregon, it looks like. All right, we're up against it.
All right, let's
see what happens.
We got a bit of a picks party here. Let's start with our Friday 5, all right? I am going to go Rams-Panthers under 46.5. This is a game where I think you need 30 at a minimum from the Rams to get there, if not 35. Bad weather, on the road, West Coast to East Coast. I'm not sure this team comes out. I think they're more in the 24-27 range, the Rams. I don't trust Carolina's offense to light this thing on fire. I think they're going to run it a little bit more. I like under the 46.5. Chris is going to go with Bashal Tootin anytime touchdown, plus 280. Yarnelli likes Bears, Mooney line. AJ, Bills, Mooney line. How about our mystery man here? Wow, didn't see this coming. Mystery man comes in and takes Rams Panthers over the 46.5, Joe.
Well, I love that pick.
Really? You like the mystery man's pick?
The mystery man is probably
head-to-head with me.
It's me.
What do you mean?
I'm the mystery. Rip off the mask. It's me. Yeah, the mystery man. I did it, Darth Vader. Darth Vader did it. Yes.
Wow, way to keep the suspense,
That's
Joey
it.
Cutlets.
That's
oh
it.
my gosh.
I am your father,
now,
Kevin.
To be clear, Joe is just the mystery man this week. You've not been the mystery man all weeks.
No.
You are, though, now the second person to come on and unveil themselves as the mystery man.
Who was the
first to do it before the pick? We had Vecchio do it once, and he won, so he came on. He came on like a Tuesday. He's like, by the way, I was your mystery man, Bijan Robinson. I was like, thanks, Tom. But now, I mean.
No, I just, you said the pick. And then I said, I'm the mystery man.
People don't know that.
Well, now he ripped off the mask before Halloween.
Super Bowl exactas, boys in the back. Chris, give him the Jags and the Rams to make it. He likes Jacksonville to win the Super Bowl. Sam likes the Bills to meet the Eagles. He likes the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. AJ likes the Niners to meet Buffalo, and he likes the Niners to win the Super Bowl. I like the Eagles over the Broncos in the big game. Right now, do you have a Super Bowl prediction, or are you still waiting?
No, I mean, I think the Eagles are on the NFC side.
Against Jacksonville.
I would say Jacksonville if I had a bet right here, right now.
All right. Interesting.
But again, if Jacksonville drops the game to Buffalo, then I would have to go. I would have to reassess.
You have to reassess. Maybe
because now I'm up against all the we have a lot of Bills fans on the network. So.
Yeah.
The numbers that keep coming out now. What is it? every time Jacksonville plays a game with a total over 49.5,
one of my favorite wrestling
0-23
bits of all time.
God.
You ever watch the Royal Rumble?
Yes.
And Jerry King Lawler, whenever a guy would come out,
yeah.
like, that's my pick, JR. And he'd get thrown over the rope and he'd go, I never liked that guy anyway. I like the Big Show. Said it from the beginning. And he'd pick a new guy, right? So each round, like you like Jacksonville, if they lose to Buffalo, which I don't think will happen, but if they do, and like I said, I wasn't in on this Jags team. I've always liked Denver. It's that, like, you just keep picking each round.
Okay. It's like somebody else we know. Never wrong.
The mystery man knows what he's doing here. Best bets for tonight. We'll play the century. I liked both teams plus 7.5 in a parlay, plus 106. I think we get a close game. Shout out to the updated photos.
Oh, boy.
I joined the casual look.
Yeah.
Chris hired about 14 photographers and a makeup crew to get that photo. Both teams to score 20 in this matchup tonight. Yarnelli, Kalen Black over the long rush. Kid loves a long rush prop. AJ's on IU.
Okay, we'll see. I like Oregon tonight. That's my pick. Money line plus 158 outright.
Points.
Forget the points. You don't need them.
All right.
How about a reverse line? Oregon minus 3.5.
Careful. It's that time of year. Careful. I don't want you getting any big ideas.
What big ideas?
I don't want you getting any big ideas.
What is that supposed to mean?
Because
Listen, you're not going to be with me tomorrow on the football show. You'll catch me on Sunday.
Yeah, and I'll be
ready.
The list twice.
I'll be ready.
I'll be double checking the list twice.
There's
Kevin Walsh, the mystery man, Joe Lisi, in-game live is next.